Hello, all you hardcores out there. How are you doing? It's Russ here from Porky's Corner, the voice of hardcore boxing. Got a few tech issues I've had for a few days because it seems that the tech guy he's in Saudi. He goes over there with all my camera chips, my camera, so I can't go mobile, and he takes all the passwords and messes up. So stay out in Saudi. How are you doing, Rico?
On that note, good. Yeah, I mean, we've had a few technical issues, but we move and we go on.
Few
Right?
technical issues.
Yeah, if we have a few,
Sorry, mate.
You're off camera now.
Yeah, I'm off camera.
Anyway.
Do you know what it is, Rico? I'm not being funny, but do you know?
Don't move the camera. Don't do anything. Just
snooker is frustrating, and cameras, computers, and stuff like that's frustrating. And I get really frustrated. I lose my core. Right, Rico.
I'm sure the fans didn't see that, right? That you lose your core. I mean, we all know that.
I've got no patience whatsoever. I don't like queuing. I don't like being stuck in traffic and having no money and being cold. I don't like Eddie. Right, Rico, let's plod on before the computer balls us up and I threaten Cameron on WhatsApp again, even though he didn't answer him. Conor Ben, what's happening with this situation? Is he a cheat, Rico, or what?
I mean, we all know he is, right? But the thing that he's doing is he's just embarrassing himself by going on Piers Morgan. And, you know, you could even tell by the way how Piers Morgan was asking the most simple question and he couldn't answer that. Yeah. Like the few questions which I thought were like really sort of why he couldn't answer is why he can't give that report to the board to get his license back in the UK, because nobody's going to go and watch him abroad, right? Yeah. And the other thing is just the whole idea that if the WBC exonerates you, it doesn't mean that you're clean, right? He couldn't answer any of the simple question. And then he started going on about how depressed he was and this and that to try and get people's sympathy. And you know what? He might have been depressed, but just be honest about what happened. Don't pretend that you don't know why you need testosterone. You've been around sports most of your adult life. And he's pretending that he doesn't need testosterone as a 25-year-old guy. He's pretending to be so ignorant that doesn't that make you think that he's guilty?
Listen, mate. His old man were one of the biggest liars in boxing and snakes. And he's just learnt off his old man. That's all. That's all.
I don't even think it's that. I just think he's at it, like a lot of boxers are. He's got caught, and instead of saying contaminated supplements, somebody spiked his drink, you know, the lies that everybody else said, he's just been so adamant to claim that he's innocent, but by doing that, he's made himself look more silly and guilty and lost fans. I mean, let's not forget, Tyson Fury got banned. We've got so many boxers in this country that have got banned and have had adverse findings. You can come back from that, Dillian White and others. You can still come back from it. But, you know, the way how Dillian White handled it wasn't great, but he wasn't on talk shows explaining why, you know, everything. Eddie was doing his talking for him, whereas Conor Benn himself is pissing off the fans and, you know, being on the front line, trying to claim that everybody else are idiots and everybody else are liars and there's a conspiracy against him.
There's no conspiracy. He's been caught cheating twice. You can wheel out his dad and Gareth A. Davis and Spencer Fearon to say he's innocent. Well, why has he got this in his system? He might not have knowingly took it. It's in his system. You've got to take a ban. Strict liability on
exactly.
Part of the contract. So what's the problem?
Well, it's a bit like if you go to a party and you have a few drinks and you have a bit of orange juice and it tastes a bit off, you start driving and the police stop you and they give you a breathalyzer and you have traces of alcohol, whether that orange juice was Bucks Fizz or, you know, had vodka in it.
Bucks Fizz.
Whatever, you know, whatever, right? That's your problem. You can't say that, well, there was no chance. I looked at the orange juice, it was Tesco's own brand. That's definitely didn't have any. I'm going to give you a 300-page report to prove that I had nothing in my system. You had it. You were tested. You had it. It's your fault. Nobody else's fault.
Yeah. I agree with you.
And Piers Morgan asked, why don't you make the report public? If you're so, why do you give it to WADA, not to the British Boxing Board of Control? And if you're so, adamant that you want the fans to believe you, why not just make it public? Not many people will read that report, but you know what? If it's so egregious, why not just make it public and show it to everybody? What does he have got to hide?
Rico, you work in marketing and you deal with legal stuff every day and stuff like that. A 270-page dossier, and I had a 1,400-page dossier when I went for my big trial 20 odd years ago, and I know I was on remand well over a year, over a year, and I know what meetings I would having to have to go through 10 pages every other day. You're on tap, lawyers coming every other day. So 270 pages. Give us a rough idea what that would cost for somebody to go through and defend.
I mean, I think it's in the tens of thousands, because also it's not even the cost of the pages, it's what goes in the pages. So he's not arguing about law, he's arguing about science. So he has to pay.
Could go on forever, couldn't it?
Scientists, he has to get somebody to explain the legalities. And remember, this isn't law, right? This is him arguing the WBC rules rather than the law, right?
Is that how much you charge? 800 quid an hour, Rico, then?
I mean, they could charge more, but also remember, laboratories are super expensive. So if you go and get your blood test done and you want to prove stuff and you want to get some samples transferred from one laboratory to another, it's thousands and thousands of pounds, right?
Well, when Liam Cameron failed, I said to Dennis, well, why don't we just go for a B sample and get it over as quick as possible? And it were 400 quid then just to transport it.
Yeah.
So what is it to do with the tests?
Yeah, I mean, add the tests on top, and also
Liam's come back positive, didn't it? His B sample.
Yeah, but this is it, right? He wants more tests, more scientists. He wants his own laboratory, and I think we can't call it an independent laboratory. It's only independent if you don't pay them, right? Where UCAD transfers the test to King's College to be tested, they are independent. Do you think the scientists know whose tests they are? No. Do you think they care? They just testing for stuff. They don't have a stake in the game. Right?
Don't they have they don't have a name on it though. They have a number.
No, they don't. So they don't know. They're just testing samples, right?
It's a number.
And the way how they test is, right, they just test and they see, is there any traces of these 40, 50 things? If there is, they mark and say X number has this test. Then somebody else in, UCAD will know that this number corresponds with this person. They are independent. They don't care. They don't know whose test is. Whereas when Conor Benn's people who he pays test, and the incentive is obviously to have their client happy.
Yeah, it's a bit of a mess, isn't it, really? I don't think it's been handled great. I mean, he's giving it the old "you let a Facebook best," giving it all that. What is all that about? Aggressive. His dad speaks to people like that because I've been in his company and I didn't like him. I was devastated when I met him. I was like, "Oh, Nigel Bannon." Feel like when I met Dean Saunders, really disappointed.
Yeah, never meet your heroes.
Like when Julian met Larry Holmes, he was devastated.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? When I met Frotch, I was like that. Yeah! Get in there. Do you know what I mean? He should be devastated. He should. I don't know. I don't know.
I think what the biggest mess is. I mean, Conor Benn's ruined his own reputation, embarrassed himself, right? Yeah. I think the bigger mess here is that what's the point of having any sort of system if you can dispute it? It's not like, all these 100-meter sprinters that get caught, the Olympians, right? It's not like they test and then they can dispute it and then they say, you know what, after 6 months, you can keep the medal, or, in boxing, we can give you you can be found guilty. We can all know about it. And then if you threaten to sue the board or, you get another route, we're not going to work with you guys. We don't want to fight in the UK. We don't believe in UCAD. We get the WBC to do this. This whole thing's a mess because nobody's kind of, and I think the promoters, Eddie Hearn and the boxing establishment, and that's what I mean by the media, what the board, they should do better. If Eddie Hearn, he was crying when Patrick Day died, he was crying, he was calling out Jared Big Baby Miller, the biggest Peter ever. Nobody gave Jared Big Baby Miller a second chance.
No.
Whether he was, and everybody was outraged and disgusted, right? Disgusted that the guy had taken drugs. Then when we have Dillian White, Bellew comes out and said, you know what? I've been in the same gym with him. He's definitely not taking anything, because Bellew would know, right? And then when Conor Ben gets caught, oh, it's not him. So it's only the British fighters that were big promoters. They are always innocent, but everybody else is guilty. And remember the way how they were all at Canelo? Remember what they were all saying to Canelo? Remember the tweets and the disgust?
I remember what Eddie Hearn said about Jarrell Miller and Darren Barker, what he had to say.
Yeah.
Well, Darren Barker wasn't even asked by Coogan any questions this weekend, or Tony Bellew. And Frank Smith says he didn't see the Ben Piers Morgan interview. Only person who spoke on it were Eddie Hills, the 6-0 Iceman. Oh, by way of.
Yeah.
No footage. I'm going to go out and have a few Guinness there. No, I've not had a drink in a few weeks.
How's Guinness with your stomach?
Good. I usually go up to this pub up here at Ramley. Traveller's Rest. Have a little walk down to Traveller's Rest, have 2-3 pints, then walk on.
Nice.
Yeah, it's all right. It's not full of travellers. That's why. When people see it on Main Drag, they always go, "You don't go in there, do you?" I go, "Yeah, right. It's all right. Yeah, well, it's called Traveller's Rest." I goes, "There's no gypsies in there."
Yeah.
The couple have come in that have been all right. So it ain't like when you go into a pub of a Bolton at Fury's coming and everybody goes, Fury's have just walked in. I heard it one day. I said, "Did you hear that?" They were laughing. They're not bothered because they all come in, don't they, mob-handed?
Yeah. 10,
right,
20
10 or
minutes.
12 of them, 3 carloads coming. All sit down, all going through menus and this. I was like, oh God, the Furies have just walked in.
It's one of those when they walk in, and if you're in a big table, you just might as well just move and give the table over, right?
Big Joe Fury eating his dinner like that. He eats his dinner like that. With his arm round his plate. He's eating his dinner with his arm.
It's all those years of porridge and thinking that somebody's going to nick his food.
I've thought of when they were kids, Peter used to nick his sausages off his plate.
Yeah, that's probably
Right, Rico, you obviously we've covered the Conor Ben situation. It's got stupid out. It's been caught bang to rights, hasn't it? It looked pretty embarrassing having to wheel father out. What has the dad got to do with his drug test or Gareth A. Davies's opinion on him? So let's park him up. He knows what he's got to do now to fight in UK, doesn't he? But what I wanted to ask you...
Well, will he ever fight in the UK?
I think he will. Well, I'm going to ask you now. I'll tell you first. I think now they need him back at UK, but not this year. They're going to have to write this year off, aren't they?
Yeah.
Now, his year ban... Sorry. Is a year in credit with his ban next month, isn't he?
Yes.
So if Eddie can manufacture a 2-year ban for him, this time next year, he'll be ready to fight in the UK. So he might have 2 fights abroad, Saudi, America, then England. Do you think that's a feasible reason? A very good reason, sorry, feasible.
So I don't think he'll get banned. They will just have a settlement or agreement with the board. Do you see what I mean? I don't think he'll want to put his name under a ban. There'll just be a period where he doesn't fight in the UK, and then he'll fight in the UK, and there's an agreement that he comes back. And I think one of the things they probably want to do is they want to test how much the viewers actually care about this stuff. Because I don't think boxing fans really care about doping that much. The hardcores do, some of them. But I can imagine the casual fans, the Matchroom FC lot, they'll still be excited to watch Conor Ben, right?
Yeah.
You can see them still liking his posts and everything else. So if he's fighting on a card in Saudi or he's fighting a card in the US, and people are still watching and, people are still liking the social media content, watching the videos on IFL, I think that becomes like a barometer. Maybe in a year or two's time, nobody cares. It's a bit like what we had with Tyson Fury. He became a mental health champion, right? And
He's not a mental. You see how he spoke to Usyk yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, everybody forgets why Tyson Fury didn't fight for 2 years, why he couldn't fight for 2 years, right? So people have short memories. So I think after a while, they'll wheel him back in. That's my thinking.
Well, I think slowly but surely they're alienating themselves. Personally, I think Tyson and his dad are alienating themselves. When have we ever had a scenario where a man with 5 belts fights a man with 1 belt, but the 1 belt man gets 70%, and the 5 belt man in an undisputed gets 30? Don't forget, we're talking about an all-time great Olympic medalist, won everything, 404 fights as an amateur. So how's that? How can that be?
So I mean, I'll give a few things. One, I don't really care. I don't care about what the percentages are. I just want to fight made, like it's not my money.
Yeah.
The other thing is with the percentages, I think that's often a very crude sort of marketing, way to try and convince fans how much money and who wins the negotiation. It's in the promoter's interest to talk about this stuff, right?
Did we have Ali talk about money back in the day? Muhammad Ali?
No. So, I mean, there's all sorts of things, right? Who gets the pay-per-view upsides? Who owns the rights? Where are they selling the rights? It could be that Usyk can sell the rights to these markets and Fury can sell, Fury can sell to these markets. It will be interesting to know who the promoters are for the show. Will it just be Frank Warren? Will there be Frank Warren in association with Alexander Krasuk or Top Rank, who seems to be in bed with Krasuk?
Go on, say it.
Matchroom.
Yeah.
That's it. Like, these are all the things, right? The things that really matter is who gets the pay-per-view upside. The purse splits, I think it's fair, right? I mean, think about it this way. Usyk's fighting abroad. He's not bringing any fans. The guy hardly speaks English. People in Ukraine aren't going to be, probably they'll be watching it, some people, but they're not going to be buying it. So I think it's fair to split, but whatever the split is, but it's actually more about how much money they make. And the other thing with Usyk is, I wonder how much money he'll make compared to a Joshua fight. Like, this could be 3 times as much money as he's ever made before.
Yeah. Usyk doesn't strike me as a money-orientated person. No. Anyway, he's not. I think he drives some old dusty old truck, doesn't he, or some farm or something.
Whereas Fury cares more about seeing that he made this much money, right? That's Fury's thing. Like, Fury wants to make sure that he's seen to be the guy that makes the more money. As Usyk said, donate the money, donate $1 million to Ukraine. I don't care. Just do that.
Once you're buying a load of diggers over there to help people the month.
Yeah, I mean, it's his country, right? And he's fighting. I mean, I hope he wins. I really do. I mean, I don't think he will, but I hope he does. I hope he beats Fury. I mean, he's fighting for a bigger cause, and also that's the kind of guy I like to be a heavyweight champion. I don't, Fury's just a bit of a clown show.
Well, Fury can fight, but it's all the rigmarole selling the fight that's doing everybody's heads in, isn't it, really?
Yeah, but I mean, how long have we been talking about this fight? When did Usyk and Joshua fight? When was that? It was like last September,
June. Last June, wasn't it?
Yeah. Let's see. Usyk Joshua 2. That was last August, right? So last summer. So by the time this fight rolls over, it's another 8-9 months of inactivity, and that's really what kills heavyweight boxing, right? The best guys are not fighting. The best guys are not fighting often enough.
What's Joe Joyce doing now?
He's fighting Joe, isn't it? Zhang, whatever he's called, yeah.
Yeah, but you'd have thought Joe Joyce, right? Who would you rate? Let's look who the main men are. Tyson, Usyk, Wilder, Joe Joyce, Joshua. Yeah, you'd say they're your top 5. Andy Ruiz, your top 6. Out of them top 6, Tyson's fought Wilder, hasn't he?
Mm-hmm.
And that's it, isn't it? Just Wilder.
Yeah.
Joshua's fought Who are them lot? Nobody, has it?
Usyk.
Usyk, yeah, twice, but got beat. He ain't going to win against any of them, has he, Joshua?
No, I think sometimes it's a bit unfair, like looking at the top six because they up chop and change, right? At one point, White was a top six guy.
Yeah.
Fury and Joshua both fought against White, and they change. But I think the fighters you really care about are like Wilder, Usyk, Joshua, Fury. None of them have fought each other apart from like one of the other opponents. So everybody of them, there's three other guys plus you, right?
Yeah.
So you are one fighter. There's three other guys. They've only fought one other. So think about it this way: when there was Hagler, Hearns, Leonard, Duran, this is the equivalent to Leonard only fighting against Hagler, Duran only fighting against Hearns, and this would have happened for years,
they
right?
fought nine times though. Them.
Yeah, exactly. They all, and that's really what made the era, right? They all fought against each other. Whereas now, these guys are old, right? These guys are past it. None of them are in their prime. They're all declining. The interest has declined. It's a bit like if you had Terence Crawford against Errol Spence fight against each other now, that fight's past its sell-by days. I mean,
Pacquiao Mayweather were, wasn't it?
Yeah, this is the problem. Like the idea in boxing is, and promoters like Eddie always tell you, the fights get bigger the longer you marinate them.
No, they get crapper. They get crapper.
Yeah, it's the opposite, right?
Right, is Usyk marketable in UK if he beats Greedy Belly?
If he's what? Is he what? Sorry.
If Usyk beats Greedy Belly at Wembley, is he marketable in UK?
Not particularly. He doesn't speak the language well enough. I mean, look, he's well known enough. He was doing that Gary Neville Sky Sports thing the other day, where he did the 1 hour walk around with Gary Neville. But when you're having to operate through a translator, it's just too hard. We don't really know who you are as a person if somebody's translating your words.
Yeah. My mate Paul Brayshaw sent me an Usyk hoodie, black with green on. You've seen it, haven't you? I had it tailored to fit me. On it, it's got like a signature like thing on the sleeve. It says his name begins with A, does it, or O?
Yeah, it's Alexander.
It's what?
Well, we say Alexander Usyk, right?
Yeah.
I think, obviously, because Ukrainians probably like Russian, right? They've got their own alphabet, which is different. So they would say Alexander Usyk.
Oh yeah.
Alexander rather than Alexander. Like we say Alexander, but it's Alexander.
Right, so it begins with A's name. Okay, Joe G's guy, Macaulay, I forgot the kid he fought, can't pronounce it, Gozkin or something, or Gozkin or something. Some French kid, he got shafted, didn't he?
Yeah.
You see it?
No, I didn't see it.
I thought that were a bad one. How did Joe G's guy winning by 4? You could say 3 rounds, you want to be conservative about it, but that was bad. But Josh Whale got robbed in France, it's hard to get a decision over there,
Well, it's hard to get a decision anyway. I mean, we say it's hard to get
it's
hard to get, but it's hard to get a decision in the UK. I mean, how many fighters on Matchroom shows have been robbed, foreign fighters?
Well, that Beltran were a bad one, wasn't it? Ray Beltran.
Yeah, Ray Beltran, a few other ones. We have lots of things.
Do you feel that Usyk's in shape? I do.
Yeah, I mean, there's been shape and there's been in fighting shape. Like, I don't think Usyk is ever not in shape, whereas Fury's probably not in shape, right? At times, Usyk's always in shape, but he might not be fighting first. Those are two different things. Usyk looks after himself, right? He's not out there on the purse. He's not living an extravagant life. He's not out late nights. He's not partying. He's not pretending to be the man about town. He's a pretty mild-mannered guy that lives a simple life and keeps himself in shape. He's probably been chopping wood all winter.
Do you know if you lined Usyk up and Fury and Usyk's manager and Bricktop, you got them all in a room, and Usyk and his manager told you a story, and Fury and Bricktop did, who would you believe out of the two camps?
Well, I think Usyk's lot.
Well, there you go. That's good enough for me.
I
Let's
don't think there's anything with Fury. You can't really believe anything he says, right? The thing,
Can't
he
lie straight
changes
in
his
bed.
story all the time. Like every story gets changed all the time. Is it just us, but is it like the Emperor's New Clothes when you listen to Fury? It's like every time he says a story, and then the next thing you know, somebody's sharing him on social media saying, "Wow." You know, like, wow, look at this guy, look what he's done. And then the next week he's completely different. The guy's bipolar media, isn't he? Sometimes he's this thoughtful mental health advocate, hashtag be nice, be kind, right? The other time he's like calling people out and calling people shithousers and, you know, belittling and mocking people. So who do you believe? What is the truth? Will the real Tyson Fury stand up, to quote Eminem?
You know when he gets up in the morning, Tyson, he says, "We're going to do this today, Paris. We're going to go here, there, and everywhere." They get all ready at that, and then he gets in car and goes, we'll change your plan."
Yeah, that's it.
That's what. What do you mean? We've all got ready now. We're going beach. No, we're not. We're going up. We're going parking. So, look, people like that who've got bipolar, they change your mind all the time, don't they?
Yeah,
No.
I mean that's it, and it's, you know, I think people sort of overlook some of his behavior is quite erratic, silly. You know, we can't really hold him up as this pinnacle of how people should grow up and, you know, the inspiration and motivation, whereas this guy's quite nasty and, you know, awful to people.
Yeah.
The way how he speaks about Usyk, Usyk's somebody that handles himself with class, somebody that's you know, actually done something for their country. Wasn't Fury meant to go to Ukraine? Do you remember?
When he taking an army over there.
Yeah, do you remember that? Right?
I remember him giving 8 million to charity when it's $7.7 million. I'm still waiting. Piers Morgan's still waiting for that million.
I think we all are. We don't know what charity, but do you remember this? He was meant to go to Ukraine to fight and, you know, on the front line. That never happened. Whereas Usyk was there, right? This is a difference.
Usyk, in my opinion, beats him. I think he beats him on points in a stinker. This is how I look at it, right? Tyson didn't look fantastic in third Wilder fight, did he?
No, I mean,
Right.
He looked fantastic by the White fight, he did.
Right. After that one, he had Dylan White, didn't he? Yeah?
Yeah.
That was a sparring session. Derek Chisora, a sparring session. So since the second Wilder fight, I don't think he's looked that good. Yeah, he's looked good against Chisora and White, but what levels Dillian White at? Does he beat Fabio Wardley?
Well, hard to say. I mean, White, it's really hard to say.
Okay, then. Okay, what's the other guy? Chisora. Does Dylan White beat Chisora if they fight?
Yeah, today.
A third time, yeah.
Today he does, but I think maybe Chisora that fought against Klitschko doesn't beat that Chisora.
But I don't think that Chisora and Dylan White fights that are going to keep your tools sharp. And I think his tools were less sharp when he came back, but he just did enough to fumble his way through against Wilder, didn't he? It's the first one. I don't think he's been in with anybody who's elite since he came back. That's my opinion. I don't want to slag the kid. He's beating everybody in front of him, but they're very carefully selected opponents. Although this is his hardest fight by a country mile, isn't it? He's done Joshua twice, and Fury's not been near Joshua.
I still think Wilder's his hardest fight, but I think Usyk poses a different problem. But I think with Usyk, the thing is size, right? It's going to be, that's the key factor of this.
Yeah.
Can Usyk handle someone that has such freakishly tall arms, you know, long arms, is tall? And Fury's not an exciting fighter, so the thing that Fury will do is hold a lot, lean. Can Usyk do his work without Fury just spoiling? If he can't do that work without Fury spoiling, he's not going to get a decision, is it?
No. Okay. Well, I've got Usyk winning on points. I think Tyson's on the slide and he's just looking to pile money up now and not take risks. I don't see the fight happening. I'm going to go on record to say it's 6 weeks till fight week. And these aren't going to get in shape in 6 weeks for Usyk. Usyk's in shape. So let's see him get out of this one. What they're going to spin now, it can only be an injury, can't it?
Yeah, I'm not sure whether they're not going to do the fight, because the other thing is moving the flight. It's a bank holiday weekend, so it's a good time to do the fight. I
It
just
is. Hey, it's a great fight.
I think it's a good exit. It's a good exit plan for potentially both fighters. This could be the last fight that both fighters do, unless it's a classic.
Unless Usyk, no. If Usyk wins him and he don't want to fight me, you can see him going off into the sunset. Fury will be punching until he can't stand up. My word.
Yeah, I mean,
he won't leave money on table age 40. No.
No. I don't think it's not leaving money on the table. It's leaving the limelight. That's the thing that Fury fears more. Unless Fury can come up with something that isn't that, if he can come up with something where he gets paid a bit and he's on Good Morning Britain and he's still being loved by the casuals, then he'll be happy to do that. But if that gets moved away, then I guess we'll see.
Yeah, okay then. Right, last 7 minutes. Joe G's guy got beat in France. We had other fighters last night fought. Johnny Fisher fought. What do you think to his fight? I don't know if that were in France. Yoka. Who did Yoka lose to? Takam. He got beat by him, didn't he? Joe G's guy drew, didn't he? He got robbed. And then we got at DAZN show. Johnny Fisher won, didn't he?
But who watches DAZN?
I watched highlights. So people were coming out and saying, well, I think Johnny Fisher's dad came out and said that Johnny's overtrained. His dad's an expert now. Like I thought he would a Chinese food tester, Bosch. Well, he's saying Johnny's had a long camp and he retired in there. Well, that should be left to Mark Tibbs to say, shouldn't it? So keep your mouth out that business, Batman. If he's talking about Chinese food, talk about that. Stay out of the boxing business with your spreadsheets. Who else fought last night? Jack Cullen fought, didn't he? Won, did he?
Did it? I think it was Diego Pacheco won.
Did he win? Oh, I had him down to win, Cullen. Who lost then? Oh, Davis. Robbie Davis Jr. lost, didn't he? Yeah. Is Jack Cullen a Scouser or a Mancunian?
I don't know. I think he might be from Bolton or Lancashire or somewhere like that.
Well, he's a good little fighter, him. Yeah. So Robbie Davis Jr. What next for him?
He's a bit of a journeyman, isn't he, Robbie Davis Jr.?
I'd say gatekeeper, Rico.
I don't think. Yeah, I think journeyman is harsh. He's beaten Hank Lundy, but this is it, right? He's 33 years old. He was never going to be beyond that sort of fringe British European level. They just have to have these guys on the roster and shows because they're running out. Even if you think about this show, so let's go. Robbie Davis Jr. versus Dara Foley, Pacheco versus Jack Cullen, Rhiannon Dixon versus Vicky Wilkinson, Peter McGrail, Johnny Fisher, Campbell Hatton. Tell me this isn't a small hall show.
Well, Campbell for hands of foe. He was getting flogged in round 3, wasn't he?
Yeah, but this is a small hall show. This shouldn't be televised. This is not. There was
Is it any better than what Dennis is putting on? Not that much, is it?
Yeah, I mean, not much, but I'd say, you look at some of the MTK shows of old or the pre-pandemic small hall shows, right?
Yeah.
Some of the Cyclone shows that Cyclone were putting on years ago, those were a lot better. Even the Hennessy shows, right? Some of the Hennessy shows a few years ago, those were a lot better. But this is what you get him for a DAZN subscription. This is where British boxing's at.
Yeah.
One fight on this show that you ever think is going to be world class or get world honours.
Katie Taylor, Chantel Cameron, what's your thoughts, Rico?
Yeah, I mean, look, Katie Taylor doesn't really interest me. I mean, glad that fight's happening, right? That's good. Don't you think? Finally, but I mean, I think the Katie Taylor interest has really waned. She hasn't really given us those memorable nights, or she hasn't really. Yeah.
Okay, Billy Joe, is he coming back?
So it seems like nobody wants to touch him. He might come back. I wouldn't be surprised if he came back under that new boxing outfit, which is eerily similar to one that disappeared a while ago.
What's
But
happening
yeah.
with Kel? What's happening with Kel Brook, Rico?
Well, I've seen them. I've seen him training again. With you know, in the Ingle gym. I wouldn't be surprised if he came back. Just because what else is he going to do?
I don't know. He could go get a car pitch, couldn't he? Put 20 cars on, £3 a car, and ask 5 for them. You know, 20 cars, £2 a car, you've 40 grand profit on a pitch, haven't you? From a 60 grand investment.
Do you think he's sharp enough to do that?
These are next door. Millionaires now driving around in Rolls Royces. We must be.
I know. But look,
all from what? Buying non-runner cars offline. Non-runner cars is my millions in next door.
Porky, stop giving the secret sauce away. People are going to be. This might become a business channel here, right?
Well, difference is when you go buy a non-runner online or auction, that's what it is. It's a non-runner. You might get it, turn it over, get it running for 50 pence, or it might cost you 5 grand. That's the risk you take, Rico. You know what I mean? Listen, if I show you, I think you've been here, aren't you? There's 2, 4, 6, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. There's 18 there non-runners, and I don't see them moving. So I'd employ a mobile mechanic, me, but what do I know? I said get them all going and get them in auction. Q, bang. Yeah, they're all right. They're good lads next door. They look after me, don't they?
Yeah, exactly.
Dan Aziz, I want to finish off on this, Rico, because it's been a disaster today with this texting. Right, Dan Aziz is fighting. I forgot his name, I remember he's going. He won last night, though, did he, Dan Aziz?
Yeah, he did. He won the European title.
Is he fighting Boazzi next?
Well, you'd hope so.
That's what they're saying, isn't it, on social media?
I think if it was up for them, they would fight him against Boazzi, because I think Boazzi would be confident about beating Dan Aziz, but I wouldn't put it past Dan Aziz beating Boazzi. I mean, Dan Aziz is heavy-handed. He's just
a good fight, Rico. That's a good fight.
That's a good fight for Boazzi. But I'd say this, I think they are at the same level in their career-wise. But let's remember, Boazzi's been out of the Olympics for how many years?
7.
His career has been shockingly managed, right?
7 years since Olympics. And Dan Aziz didn't go Olympics, and he's British Commonwealth and European champion and world ranked.
He's a proper fighter, old school, nice guy as well, an old school, proper old school fighter.
Terry loves Dan Aziz, doesn't he? And Martin.
Yeah, but you know what? He used to come to their live shows, and you know, he's a really nice guy, Dan Aziz. I've met him before.
Right, 50 seconds left, Rico. What you want to say?
Like and subscribe.
And leave a comment.
Yeah, leave a comment. Only nice ones. Yeah.
Okay, I don't even look at the emails this morning.
Oh my.
Sundays are shocking. I just go, oh, not him again.
I think the Sunday sermon's done then in that way. Good thing we got the tech sorted in the end, mate.
Right, no problem. Well, listen, Rico, I love you to death. You take care.
Take care. Enjoy the Guinness, my friend. All right. Speak to you soon. Bye.
Bye. And that's it. Peace out.
Porky's Corner is proud to be sponsored by Spartan Site Solutions. They are specialists in civil engineering and demolition contracts for the construction industry. Interested parties should visit their website or contact Porky's Corner for a referral at porkycorner@mail.com.